fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace.
Last year, I went through many different life changes. I needed to take a pause and examine how I was feeling in the inside to better show up for the ones who need me to be my best version of myself.
When you're navigating life's changes, Talkspace can help. Talkspace is the #1 rated online therapy, bringing you professional support from licensed therapists and psychiatry providers that you can access anytime, anywhere.
Living a busy life, navigating a long-distance relationship, becoming a first-step father, Talkspace made all of those journeys possible. I could speak with my therapist in the office. I could speak with my therapist in the comfort of my home. I was never alone.
Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance, no problem. Now get $80 off your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
Let's see. So, Mike, hey.
Hello.
We haven't actually, caught up in, a sustained way.
It's true. Yeah, we talk 10 to 20 minutes before and after these tapings, but we don't, we haven't gotten a chance to really get into it in a minute,
Yeah. So, holiday updates, any
Oh God. I feel like I survived the holidays and now I never want to think about them until they come up again.
Okay, I'm willing to let's not think about them again. I got through 2. We'll just there we go. Done. Next question. Are you a person that thinks of the new year as a time to do resolutions or to reset, renew, any kind of restarts? Are you a new year as a time to make some resolutions or what?
In most ways, no.
Okay.
But the last few years, and especially this year, big on the dry January. Real big.
We can talk about that.
Oh, I bet we can.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. I have many thoughts about dry January.
Yeah. So, my lifestyle in terms of
for some reason, it's so funny to hear you say, well, my lifestyle.
Well, I think that's the only way to frame it.
Okay.
Between performing on the living and being on the road a lot last year and then being single in a whole new way over the last year too. Oh, I did a lot of drinking in 2025. I did a lot of drinking.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this year in the middle of it, a dry January. And I'm also going to do dry March.
I didn't know there was is that a thing or is that a thing that you invented?
No.
Okay.
It's a thing that I'm going to do because I need more dry.
All right.
I need more dry.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have thoughts, but only going to offer them if you want them.
Well, that's what we're here for.
So my thought about dry January in general, the way the metaphor I like to use is welcome to my hometown.
Yep.
Hope you enjoy it. It's a nice place to visit. Look around, see what your experience is.
That's the whole deal.
Let me know if I can be a guide of some kind.
I guess I'm very used to it, but I do think in my therapy journey, we're specifically dialed into trying to track the differences in my emotional processing when not drinking alcohol. That specifically, because I think drinking to me is largely a numbing agent.
So when I use the tour guide metaphor, usually I'm like tips and tricks about if you get into a place where I kind of want to drink and or whatever. like there's really like, this is maybe beyond you, but one of the things like I would tell anybody is like drive yourself places so that you can leave if you start to feel like, I don't know, this is not great. Right. Got a lot of good non-alcoholic drink recommendations also. I have a personal belief that if you're going to abstain from one chemical, it might be a good idea to abstain from all chemicals, because sometimes relieving yourself of your anxiety with one chemical can make it easier to think. Makes it easier to think, oh, there's a solution to how I'm feeling right now. Right. Mm-hmm. One of those chemicals is a lot more dangerous than the other. I'm talking about weed, basically. Weed is, I think, I mean, everyone knows it's safer. It's like less addictive and all of those things. And
that's that very thing. Like, so I tend not to have any trouble. Like once I've decided not to, I tend not to have any problem with it. And it's like a good exercise for me, because I feel like part of the reason that I drink as much as I do is that like there's this way internally in which I like appreciate being able to say yes to myself in that way. With this thing I want to do, and I like saying yes to it. And this is something that I get really deep into in therapy and trying to like unpack. But once I've told myself I'm not going to say yes to it for whatever amount of time, is like I don't have a lot of challenges with that part. Mm-hmm. Like I don't feel like super tempted, or like the first like 2 or 3 days was like but then I'm like okay. Right now. But it's just it's honestly at this point the main challenge is okay, I'm feeling my feelings now, you know. So it's just it's really just sitting in that. But I'm at a point in my life where I think it's really important for me to do that, so I don't mind the discomfort so much, you know.
Well, what I was going to say is like, so there's the tour guide thing that I try to be like the concrete helpful tips. What you're doing is actually a lot more. It is like this space in which I think most people aren't as interested in exploring. Like if you're doing it for health reasons, you know, if people are doing it.
That's certainly part of it too.
Well, sure. And there's no bad reason, right? I mean, to be very clear, alcohol is a carcinogen. Mm-hmm. And it is also a huge part of a multi-billion-dollar industry. And I happen to believe like big alcohol is as dangerous as big tobacco.
Sure.
And it's a huge corporate force. The Trump administration recently walked back guidance on how much, like what the recommended daily allowance of drinks are. Yeah.
Like walk back as in raised the allowance? Yeah. Or like, oh, wow.
And I think that is part of the anesthetization of the American public. Like
and I would imagine it's also the result of a lot of lobbying.
Oh yeah. There's like a sort of symbolic part of it, right? And then there's the actual, like it has to do with big alcohol stepping in, right? And I think that it's unfortunate for our society that we have for a long time, and I think it's starting to change, but only slowly and only at the edges, we've built a country in which alcohol is a part of adult socialization at all times. Mm-hmm. It's
very blended.
It is the norm that if you are in a situation where it's mostly adults, whether it's playing pickleball or gathering after work, there are going to be drinks, mm-hmm. right? And I think that has contributed to, in a weird way, I think that's contributed to the growing isolation that people feel, because it creates a buffer between us. I think it's hard to truly connect with people. You know, ironically, it can feel like you're really connecting, right? If you have a few drinks. But if you have to have those couple of drinks in order to feel that connection, are you really feeling that connection? And I don't begrudge anyone a couple drinks, but a few drinks. All drugs have costs, and I think it's just alcohol is in a way become the thing we don't account for the costs,
Right.
Emotional costs. Like
Certainly.
most people who are pretty, I think, and I'm pro legalization and I'm pro legalizing all drugs, period, decriminalizing heroin to alcohol, but I think part of any decriminalization strategy, any harm reduction strategy is informed use.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
education. Right.
And I think a lot of people who do drugs besides alcohol are more well educated about the effects of that drug.
That's interesting.
Than with alcohol. I think most people when they drink, are not aware of the connection between breast cancer, throat cancer. Those are the two big ones: are breast cancer and throat cancer, and liver disease. Those are the big three. So I've also argued, I think dry January is a form of resistance to capitalism. Like you are choosing not to participate in what is an incredibly, like a de facto, compulsory part of our economy, right?
I've certainly saved more money, and I've noticed, and I've gone out to a couple of dinners, and I'm like, oh, look at the difference in this bill versus how much I'm usually spending for a night on the town. And I hadn't really crystallized that thought until you just said it right now, but there's certainly more money in my pocket.
More money in your pocket, more money to do other things with, to do things that might be more satisfying for you and that you might not literally piss away later.
Yeah, literally. Exactly. Exactly.
Might buy a couple more comic books, which you'll enjoy for years and years. And then I do think that the kind of introspection you're doing is really important in this particular moment when we are confronted with so many things that it is easier to disassociate with on a cultural level too.
Now that part, I guess my introspection is sort of led by my very personal, internal, emotional struggles with, like my trauma stuff, relationship stuff, like that's where it's mainly focused. I'm still having such a problem with the idea of balancing my focus between my personal challenges and the societal ones in like a way that it's starting to be very overwhelming because I find myself in this place where everything feels unprecedented all the time. Mm-hmm. But as we often discuss here, I also have to like promote shit all the time in a way where I'm like, and especially I would say like not drinking. Boy, I can feel the dissociation it takes for me to make the post. I just made an Instagram post about my album accolades that I've been pushing back for weeks because I've been trying to gather the emotional strength to talk about myself in the sort of way that actually really helps my career. But it's like, gosh, it seems so inhuman to some degree to do that, knowing what's happening out there. It seems like there's an escapism I can tell that people want, and people do want to cheer a person like me on because I'm independent and I'm out there fighting a good fight. But damn, it's hard not to feel like the timing is always wrong.
Yeah.
Especially given most recent events.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think what you're saying makes me very aware that in my recovery journey, the pieces that are the most difficult which have around work and self-promotion and self-sabotage have still felt very heavy. And you and I have done like a fair amount of therapy talk on this podcast. I do think that I got to cheat for a while being married to a rich guy, I got to not deal
in a therapy way.
Yeah, I got to not deal with shit.
Interesting. Just because. Well, tell me if you don't mind spelling that out for me, because I've never been married to a rich man, so I'm not sure what that's like.
I got to not deal with like self-promotion because I was like, well, I don't really need to do that because I've got money in the bank.
Right.
I didn't have to deal with like pushing out my own stuff. Like I
Gotcha.
My old podcast, which was fairly popular, I never tried to like do anything with it. I never tried to like do live shows or kind of create something bigger out of it. And there's a part of me that feels like I really missed an opportunity there. And I didn't think about doing that stuff because I really was just, the way I think I thought about things was I was grateful to not have to worry about money, and I just wanted to stay small. I just didn't want to have to risk failing, even though I was in the exact position to be able to fail. And I have regrets, but I practiced the mantra, especially over the past few months. I didn't know what I didn't know.
Right.
I didn't know what I didn't know. When I had all this money that I'd saved up, I did save money during that marriage, but when I was spending it after I first lost my job in 2021, I just thought another job would come. So I just kept spending the way that I usually spent.
Right.
But I didn't know what I didn't know. So it's in the past 5 years that I've had to do some of the work that I think a lot of people do in early sobriety. On their own. So there's a part of me that wishes I could be telling you like, it's going to get so much easier for you. But I think but there's another thing going on here, which I can see for you and you probably can see for me. And I know it's something when we talk to our guests, we talk about, which is that the whole apparatus of the creative economy under capitalism is intended to make you feel as though it's all your fault and it's all on you.
Yeah.
And that also your work, you have to work to make your work relevant. Like your work is not automatically relevant. It's up to you to prove to people that it's relevant. And that's what I think about when you talk about feeling some hesitation around promoting your work in this moment. Because we both know intellectually your work matters, right? Like,
yeah, of course. And
so it's a resistance. It's an emotional resistance, which is just real. It's real. And I hope I'm just validating that you see that it's our emotional resistance. And there is no one out there that's like, man, listen to Mike Eagle out there promoting his album while there's blood in the streets. Actually, on Blue Sky, you're occasionally going to get somebody like there are people dying in Gaza, and you're promoting your album.
And I can also remember the time when things were a little more like monoculture on Twitter, when like there was a mass shooting. And if somebody promoted something, people would say, "Hey, not now." Like I remember like when it felt like that, and now it's sort of, to my experience, it feels more splintered now. It feels like I am a lot less concerned with someone saying that now, but I still have that feeling.
Well, there's also maybe not in the hours after a mass shooting do you do an album drop, right? Like,
well, maybe not, but that's part of the thing that people don't always understand too, though.
In the hours after,
But I think part of what people don't understand though is something specifically like an album drop. That shit takes like months of coordination. Sometimes.
Yeah.
And you can't always adjust when it happens, and you can just have the worst timing ever too.
I guess to what extent one can control an album, right? Maybe not the perfect example, because you're right. Things debut when they debut, but but I know. I guess I'll just bring it back to sort of just speak from my experience. So by the time people listen to this, I will have already been to Minneapolis. But at the moment, I've just gotten that assignment. It's weird time travel happening. And I posted on Blue Sky something like, I'm trying to get my editor to send me to Minneapolis. Tickets are $1,000. And a couple people responded like, hey, start a GoFundMe. I'll help you out. And, the publication that I write for is a small independent publication in the Republic. They don't have a lot of money. Whenever I want to travel, I have to kind of negotiate a little bit and cut corners where I can. It's a man, like when I have in the salad days of magazine writing, like when I worked at Time magazine, like we flew business class, and stayed in whatever hotel there was room in it for us, So, I have to go to my editor and say, they can get this for this particular trip. I'm going to fly out of Houston, which adds like 6 hours travel time, 3 hours both ways. And I'm going to stay with friends and, I'll keep my food budget low. And he was hesitant. My editor was like, well, I need to look around on the budget, see if, and then there's like the actual labor I'm going to do.
This episode is brought to you by Factor.
Cold days, big goals, absolutely zero interest in cooking?
Factor makes healthy eating easy with fully prepared meals designed by dietitians and crafted by chefs.
No planning, no grocery math, no, what did I buy this ingredient for?
I love that Factor has quality, functional ingredients, including lean proteins, colorful veggies, whole food ingredients, and healthy fats.
And there's so much variety. Over 100 rotating meals every week, including the new Muscle Pro meals, if you're doing strength stuff.
And they support your diet, whether it's high protein meals, Mediterranean, whole ingredients, healthy fats, or more. Plus, there are no refined sugars or artificial sweeteners.
I've looked for something like this for a long time, and Factor really is the best.
It's good food that tastes great and is ready in about 2 minutes, always fresh, never frozen, no prep, and no stress.
Head to factormeals.com/pastdue50off. That's 50 off.
And use code PASSDUE50OFF to get 50% off and free breakfast for a year.
Eat like a pro this month with Factor. New subscribers only, varies by plan. One free breakfast item per box for 1 year while subscription is active.
If you're a small business owner, you already know what it takes to keep everything moving. You're juggling customers, invoices, and about 100 decisions every day. Thankfully, taxes don't have to be one more thing on that list. With Intuit TurboTax, you can get your business taxes done for you with a full-service expert. TurboTax matches you with your dedicated tax expert who knows your industry, understands your business write-offs, and gives you the personalized advice your business deserves. Upload your documents right in the app, hand everything off, and still feel like you're in the loop the whole way through. You can even get real-time updates on your expert's progress right in the app, which makes it so much easier to stay on track. And you can get unlimited expert help at no extra cost, even on nights and weekends during tax season. Visit TurboTax.com to get matched with an expert today. Only available with TurboTax full-service experts.
I have a quick question, and then, because now my head is spinning on like the budget for these things.
Yeah.
And to the extent that you'd want to get into it, because I don't want to derail the momentum of what you're talking about because it's very important. But first, like, is the New Republic, do they have a print magazine?
Yes, they do. Comes out 6 times a year.
And this will be in that?
No.
Okay, interesting. Okay. And then do you as a writer have an idea of how much they could potentially make on an article that you publish with them?
I don't think it breaks down like that.
Okay.
Unlike a post.
in my mind, like that's how they would calculate how much they could spend on getting the article.
They're making a bet that the article, I mean, journalism sucks. I mean, the way that we monetize things in journalism is pretty terrible. Institutions, magazines and publications build trust with their readership. And the reason you put articles in is to generate subscriptions and clicks, mostly subscriptions these days.
Mostly subscription. So it's hard to even break down into what articles were responsible for what subscriptions.
And TNR is they have a number of free articles per month, and then they ask you to start paying. And also they do frame it as we're doing valuable work. This is a part of a movement. You're not just supporting us, you're supporting resistance or whatever. I think it's a great magazine. It is very cheap to subscribe. I encourage people to subscribe. I went on a kick. I tried to make a difference personally a while back because I really would like to have a more permanent, higher paying gig, right? I don't care who knows. Like, hey, New Republic.
That's probably the best way to get it is to say that you want it.
Hey, hey, Mike, are you listening? And I don't know if he knows I did this, but I did a kick when I wrote the cover story last year where I put in my newsletter, and almost every time I posted about the cover story, if you appreciate this, please subscribe to the New Republic. And I don't know if that made any difference at all, but I hope that's something people think about. But at the same time, I did that rather than promote my newsletter. I decided. And as people who are regular listeners know, my newsletter is no longer. I've just decided that's just not going to work for me. So maybe I'll go through and promote subscribing to the magazine again. I am going to get emotional. Journalism it's broken. It just. I mean, I almost wish you could do a pay per view. But what would that be? I mean, we used to talk about, there was a time when the web was young. We talked about doing micropayments for stuff like this. I don't know. I mean, I think what I'm going to do is start adapting the stuff I write to YouTube.
Yeah, no, I totally think that's a great way to go about things. I guess okay. Like I said, I just made this Instagram post about the accolades that my album received. So I took these screenshots of all of these articles where people wrote about the album. And I was noticing specifically during doing this exercise, how many ads were on these articles. You could tell, these are money-making articles for these websites. And some of them are so packed with ads. One of them, it was so packed with ads, it was impossible to get a screenshot because they had the album title and then a big ass ad and then the article and then the album, the album art. It just didn't make any sense. And I was like, what? And so that's where my mind went with this. Is okay, they're going to make an article. There's going to be ads on it. What is the upside? What's the, how, I just it's
the economy is so broken. It makes no sense, Mike. I cannot. It's broken, and I will tell you, the more ads on a page, probably the fewer CPM they're getting. It's really? A number of ads on a page does not equal that article is popular. Look at the New York Times. Look at how few ads are on a New York Times. I mean, there's plenty of ads, but they're not going to interrupt your flow too much, right? The smaller the publication, the more ads they probably have. You cannot support a publication based on ads anymore. And the New York Times has stopped being a print-based publication. And I don't know if you've been following, probably not. The New York Times has leaned really heavily into video and audio and I'm not going to call it SponCon, but they do a lot of conferences. They've made their columnists into celebrities that get their own, have their own podcast, have become kind of the person you tune into to hear from and people want to have relationships with. And ad rates online. I mean, for one thing, AI has killed people going to sites, right? Like AI. AI summaries.
How has that happened? Oh, the summarizing of articles. I see. The synthesizing of all that information into like one paragraph before you even have to go to the article. I see.
And then also the ways that people consume media no longer really, like, people don't go read articles, you know? And then people hate paywalls too. So the journalism economy is really broken. It relies a lot on ads, or relies much more on subscriptions, or that seems a much more workable model than ads. And then also publications need to have either some kind of podcasting or video arm that brings in money. Texas Monthly, which I write for, does very, very well for itself, in part because it has like a booming kind of consumer side, right? They do barbecue festivals. They do guides to Texas. They have they're a service magazine in addition to a really high quality journalism product. They also sell tons of articles to Hollywood. They do really fun investigations. And so they've like got a deals with Netflix and HBO to like, you know, license or option articles. Right. So that's another
into like true crime types, like, or like documentaries.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep. And they have a whole video and podcast vertical for themselves. Right. And that's where they're making a fair amount of money. Then there's places like ProPublica, which is a great operation. I highly encourage people to support it. And they are a nonprofit that gets grants and whatnot and is publicly and had also raises from donors. Texas Tribune, another great publication, works on a similar principle. The 19th, which is a female focused publication. They've been beneficiary of the largesse of Mackenzie Scott, who's giving away tons of money, making her ex-husband look bad. We love a scorned wife. For people who don't know,
especially a rich one.
Jeff Bezos' ex, who seems intent on like just highlighting what a fucking creep Bezos has turned into. She's given like record amounts to HCBUs. Perhaps you know that. Like she's just like,
I did not know.
Oh my God, she just drops the money and out
pieces out.
Yeah,
she's not trying to sit on the board, dictate where it goes.
Nope, she's just like, here's $10 million. Go nuts. And the one thing about it that's kind of funny is she doesn't let them know it's happening beforehand. So you'll get like just this like huge amount of, anyway. So journalism is broken, just fundamentally broken. I don't know. And it hasn't affected my life personally until the past few years. It's been broken before that, but I've been fortunate. And now, I mean, I've spoken about this before. Like, I don't know. I don't know how to proceed. I've started doing I have a YouTube channel. People can check out. It's Anna Marie Cox 2.
That adventure seems to be like whenever you talk about how things are going over there, it's always like thrilling and confusing to me. And I also, I do stuff on YouTube too, so I'm always like trying to figure my own stuff out. But you just sort of really jumping in recently. I mean, how have you found it? What are you feeling like?
Well, I've had good luck. I have learned from I've dropped like 4 videos. 2 of them have done outstanding. Just for me, nutty amount of numbers. I did a video where I talked about the OU student essay about gender identity and made a point that I think other people hadn't made, which is this essay is supposed to be bad. And also part of authoritarianism is to get us to say bad things are good. That things they shove in our faces mediocre things and want to force us to call them good. It's a version of like 2 + 2 is 5. Right. That got 41,000 views.
Have you been able to get a sense of why that one has been so popular? Like if you were looking at the comments or look, like what about it is resonating with you?
Yes, I think it is a hot topic that it's all thumbnails. I now realize it's all thumbnails.
Thumbnails a lot to do with it. An unfortunately important factor.
And my frame of it was the thumbnail says like that essay was supposed to be bad, which I'm pretty proud of as a concise argument.
Title. Yeah.
And, I am of course very charming and charismatic. So I think, it helps when you come up on a video as a talker and can just
a natural conversationalist.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty good. I think I'm a pretty good fit for the medium. And I'm sure that helps.
A lot of heavy lifting.
And it's a somewhat controversial subject that people probably have feelings around but can't quite articulate. And that's also, I think, my lane is feelings around but can't articulate. And also media criticism, right? Mm-hmm. So that one did really well. And then I did another one that was about AI slop. And the headline is something like, the title is like The Disappearance of the First Draft. And it's not as grabby. It's gotten like hundreds of views rather than tens of thousands. And it's not immediate. It's not something people are thinking about right now for any reason. Not urgent. And then the other thing I did that's really popular is I did a remix of a speech from the TV show Andor. It's a Andor, amazing show, one of the best TV shows of all time. Everyone should watch it. And it's a lot of the lines and sort of manifestos, monologues from it have been really adapted and claimed by resistance libs. And one of the big emotional, like cathartic monologues is a speech, or a monologue. I shouldn't call it a speech. It's a monologue by a character named Nimic, and it's about resistance to the Empire. And of course, Star Wars, it's the Empire, right? Mm-hmm. And it is basically about how there is more resistance than the Empire can, the Empire's hold, authoritarianism's hold on any population is brittle. That it is unnatural to oppress a population, and that eventually people resist, and they don't need to be resisting in a concerted way, because it's all part of the same movement to throw off these shackles, and that it's organic, it's natural, and the more the Empire tries to squeeze its hand, the more this resistance kind of comes out around the edges, right? And I took that speech, which is also paired with some of the most like stirring soundtrack that I've ever heard. That the music is doing like 90% of the work in this clip, and cut it together with images from the protests around ICE, and also some stuff from the No Kings protests. And my big contribution was I'm pretty good at rhythm, cutting rhythm, So the images appear at the right time as the music and speech, it gets punctuated. One of the things I'm especially proud of is there's a line about oppression takes constant effort, and I cut in a picture of Trump asleep at a meeting. That was my favorite. It's my favorite little joke. But mostly, it's pictures from what is true, which is all over the country, spontaneous resistance, right? Mm-hmm. And another thing that happens in the monologue is that the end of it says, at some point, one single thing will break the siege. And I put a picture in. Actually, what I put a picture in was the stuffed animals. that were in Renee
That
Good's
picture is
car.
so haunting. That picture is so haunting.
One single thing will break the siege. And that now has like 20,000, 30,000 views. And
okay, so
as you pointed out, like I'm not going to make any money off of that one because Disney's all like that. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Right. Please and thank you.
You for doing free advertising for our show. But it does fit in with, I guess, with my ethos and brand. So I will count it as a win.
Yeah, no, it's great because my experience with YouTube and my channel, I have to say, I do feel like it's successful. 50,000 subscribers. I probably average like 10, 12,000 views per video, but every time it feels like pulling a slot machine.
Mm-hmm.
Every time, like it can have 60,000 views or it can have 6,000, and I will always think everything that I want to talk about is a good idea, but it is so much about this intersection between the content and the title and the thumbnail, and it's like it can be so frustrating at times. It can be so frustrating. I've seen a lot of people have a lot of success at constantly sort of refining the thumbnail and refining the title until they figure out what works. But that approach would drive me insane.
I tinkered with the manifesto thumbnail and it made a huge difference. What I did...
Manifesto. Which one's the manifesto one?
It's the one that's the Star Wars one.
Okay.
I'm in the thumbnail, fully admit, I made the thumbnail sound like it's a video essay. Which is to say, I had it, the thumbnail now says, this is what he meant. And it has a picture of the character. And so people might be clicking on that, expecting me to explain that manifesto. However, I don't think it's a bait and switch. I do think that the remix of the images that I put together is what this character meant. Mm-hmm. So, and the retention's pretty good. People staying to watch. The music, I swear again, the music does so much of the work.
How long did it take you to make it?
An afternoon. It took me as long to track down all the photos that I used, which I did devote myself to doing. I hope that it's all fair use. I don't want to have to recut together the video, but I did a document that just has every single image I used with crediting the photographer and a link to where you can find it online. So I hope that covers my bases or people understand, because I use some images for some really wonderful photojournalists, which also does like so much of the work.
A lot of work.
I feel like all I did was have the idea to make this speech applicable to this particular
juxtaposition. It turns out to be very powerful.
Yeah, and the comments are all like, this is very powerful. And then there's like a subgenre of the comments that's like, this isn't, remember in the Star Wars, they actually picked up weapons to fight, and this won't end until we pick up weapons. And that's like,
oh, that's interesting.
I'm not going to jump in on those comments.
Good call. Very good call.
Like, I'll let them, I won't delete them. I'll let them exist. Right. But I think I'll just
the funny thing is I expected the other type of undesirable comment. If that's kind of amazing between Star Wars fans and people, on the conservative side of politics. This seems ripe that that a lot of people would be in there troublemaking.
Because I can only hope that that'll happen because it'll be good for views. But so far, no. I mean, I recognize that the views, I only have less than 3,000 subscribers at this point. And it's a ways away from monetization.
If you need something quick and convenient like my family does, my ultimate high-protein dinner hack is grabbing pre-marinated steak tips and making them extra crispy and charred in the air fryer, while the inside stays juicy and medium rare. I can't say enough about the convenience of Omaha Steaks. Thanks to them, I always have the highest quality proteins on hand. Enjoy exceptional flavor in the convenience of Omaha Steaks during their spring savings event. Omaha Steaks is your weeknight win. And right now, you can get the world's best everyday protein during their spring savings event. Go to omahasteaks.com for an extra $35 off when you use promo code YUM at checkout. That's omahasteaks.com. Terms apply. See site for details. Go to omahasteaks.com to shop their spring savings event and use promo code YUM at checkout for an extra $35 off. Minimum purchase may apply.
One of the reasons that I've decided to go this direction is that, at least with YouTube, there's a few different reasons. One is, if something goes viral, I will get paid
Money. Yeah, for real.
Which doesn't happen with a newspaper article. And it doesn't happen with
Right.
a newsletter article either. Because a newsletter,
Right.
the only way to monetize that is to have people become subscribers.
Subscribe. Mm-hmm.
So there's that. And then the other piece of it is that, for me, the video essay actually seems more like the kind of work I'd like to do in print than what is financially feasible in print right now. I can write something, or even the culture of what we have going in commentary in print right now, or in print, you know what I text, whatever.
Mhm.
Right now, I feel like magazines, newspapers, newsletters are so siloed, so amazingly insular, talking to a very small population, very ideologically aligned population, very
Right.
social. I want to say like blue sky pilled,
Bubble. It's in a bubble.
It's all
in a
bubble, right?
Yeah.
Video seems to reach people who aren't already engaged.
It's got legs.
Yeah. And people who
YouTube really, they push things around.
Yeah, and I know you live and die by the algorithm, but the amount of reach that these videos have gotten, I know not all 41,000 people stay to watch the whole thing or whatever, but that's a lot of engagement. There was like 1,000
That's
comments.
amazing. Yeah. That's incredible.
I've never had that happen. I've used to write pretty regularly for the Times and didn't get that kind of response.
Mm-hmm.
So that feels better. We are now, I think, hopefully we're going to talk to Jamel Bowie preview. And one of the things he said on Blue Sky that was very controversial, he's not shy. It wasn't only controversial between, I guess, us media, mavens, was if you're not doing video, if you're a political commentator and you're not doing video right now, you're doing it wrong, basically.
Yeah, no.
And I
think
just
that's
decided,
absolutely
you know
right.
what? He's one of the smartest people I know. Yes.
This is what I'll tell people. Everybody is hungry for discourse, and like you say, people aren't going to read for it. That's not what they're going to do right now. They want to click a button and have somebody talk at them and either validate their viewpoint or say something that makes them argue. But everybody is interested in engaging with discourse around every subject you can think of. And YouTube is such an open space for that. And there's people constantly creating and constantly engaging in content all the time. And YouTube has provided a platform where people get paid for that in a way that makes sense. Now, it doesn't always make sense what they push out to people. But it's incentivizing in a way that nothing else is right now.
Yeah, and it's also a way to funnel people into my Patreon, which is what I've switched to instead of having a newsletter. And both of those things, both YouTube and a Patreon, are going to create, hopefully, income streams that I can count on more than workshops or freelancing. I know that this is broken record shit, but I also know it's true for you in your industry, which is this is just an unprecedented time in how bad things are. I've been doing this for 30 years now. I'm older than you are. I've been in media for 30 years and I've never seen a time like, oh, hi, Bram. Hi.
Uh-oh.
It's not a Zoom meeting unless there's a kitty that has shown you their little butthole. So, hey, thanks, Bram. Bram is my for those who are listening, if this doesn't get cut. Bram is my little cat-shaped void. He's a lover. So yes, industry is broken. I've never seen it be this bad, including going back to 2008, financial crisis back then. People were covering the financial crisis. And then, there was in 2012 2012 through 2016 was the great pivot to video era, which turned out to be an illusion. But for a while, things were really good. And then the blogging era, I was a blogger and people got real excited about that. So I got hired places. And now one of the things that's happening is I don't feel like any place is trying to grow. Like any mainstream publication.
Like any publication? Okay.
I think there is a very conservative mindset we have to hang on to what we have.
They're trying to survive.
Yeah. So, and doing things that already work. So, I can't think, and this is to get back to kind of the themes of the show, I can't think too far ahead and stay sane. I gotta just, one foot in front of the other, know that it's not me.
Mm-hmm. And also, but I would like to applaud your proactivity though.
Keep trying.
I mean, seriously, like, your personal pivot to video, it's not like that's easy to do, and I'm not saying it like, oh, your prayers are answered, everything's fine now. But like, instead of sitting back and hoping things get better, like you've sort of taken matters into your own hands and have started an endeavor where you're being able to execute your own ideas in a way where you can be compensated for them,
Yeah, because also the other thing that's happened, and I keep on looking for ways to, I want to make sure, I think we have shared ground on some of the bigger ideas here, is editors are conservative and not taking chances on ideas, too. And they need things to you either need to be well established enough and an idea to be sticky enough that they'll take a chance that it's going to be something new that'll start a conversation or go viral, right? Or it has to be an established lane of thought or discourse, and you're bringing something kind of new to the discourse, right? Mm-hmm. On the show with Bob DeRosa, I brought this idea up that I've had for years now that I keep pitching. I think is such a good idea, but no one has bitten, which is the idea of talking about Ted Cruz as a child, reporting out his childhood, and like my imagined headline for it is "Why is Ted Cruz?" and trying to do a little pop psychology around, could this have gone another way? Because he has a very...
Texas Monthly is not interested?
Nope. I've pitched it so many different places. And my hook is that he literally changed his name when he was 15 or so from Felito, which is a diminutive of Ted, because Spanish is weird that way. So from Felito to Ted. And so that's the point where you can say he became Ted Cruz. Like that is when he became Ted Cruz. So who was he before that? Who was Felito Cruz? And
back when he was underground, before he went mainstream,
before he played stadiums. But I do think that there's something around there. I believe that, that's a pivotal moment in, the formation of somebody's personality is around that time of your life, right? You choose an identity. And from what everything you read about him, what you can tell is that he did pick who he is today at that moment. He hasn't really changed since that moment. And obviously I have a lot of enthusiasm, and I know more about Ted Cruz than most people just because I've been writing about him for a long time. I can do a video about that. And I bet
oh God, please.
I bet it'll do great.
I can't wait to watch a Ted Cruz video. I can't wait. Everybody go subscribe to Anna Marie Cox 2. Anna Marie Cox 2.
I don't know who is Anna Marie Cox without the 2. I don't know who that person is.
You got to fight her. Wherever you got to find her and fight her.
Yeah. I don't mind though. It's like, I think it's kind of funny. I think it's like internet throwback in a way to having to have your AOL being like, that name isn't available. How about A Cox 932?
My first AOL handle was Primus 4340.
Did you pick the entire thing?
There were already that many. No. I'd picked Primus and I had to go with 4340.
Yeah, mine was A Cox something. I don't remember what the numbers were, but yes. So I think Anna Marie Cox 2 is kind of a funny like homage to not being able to get your first screen name. That's my Patreon too for people who are curious, is Anna Marie Cox 2. Again, who is that other Anna Marie Cox? I don't know. I didn't think there were that many of us, but
I think there can only be one, like Highlander rules. So you got to find her and sword fight her on a mountain.
All right. So, Mike, before we go, tell me your favorite accolade for your album that you put out on Instagram today. What's the favorite? What's the best? What's the most? What's the thing that really gets you that someone said about your album?
I liked it. Well, I liked it. Paste Magazine, which I consider like they're not just like hip hop junkies. Like they talk about all sorts of stuff with all sorts of people. They've broken the internet a few times. Like, they're like a real magazine. And they called my album the number 2 best rap album of the year. And I thought that was really exciting. Like they put my album solidly over a lot of the big budget, big resourced releases. And I don't know that writer. Like, I don't have a personal relationship with that person. They just really thought that, And so I was very proud of that. That one and the Ringer one. The Ringer, I forgot the number. I think they put it like 14. But I was like, oh, this is dope. Like I appreciate getting that sort of end of the year love for my work, because when I make my work, I don't expect stuff like that. There are places I would expect it from, but not those places.
Okay.
I extremely appreciate
I had questions about whether or not you expected any accolades or just accolades from The Ringer. The Ringer is one of the widest publications out there. Like,
it's true.
They have some good people. Like, I'll claim Joel Anderson is a friend of the pod. He's a friend of mine.
Shout out to Van Lathan. Shout out to Van Lathan too. That's the homie.
Yeah. No, but it's like Bill Simmons is just.
Yeah. He's a Boston white guy, and he wears that. He wears that.
Yeah.
He doesn't pretend to be nothing else.
I watched his top 10 movies of the past, I don't know, it was like 30 years or something. And it was like, The Town. It was all Boston, like Irish mob shit,
He can't help it.
And then also Goodfellas. It was all mob and then Hoosiers and
sports and mafia movies.
But then God. I will give him this. I was watching, and it was all sports and mafia stuff, and then he got to number 1, and he was like, "I'm going to throw y'all a curveball." He said, "Y'all." He said, "I throw you guys a curveball with my number 1 pick." There were 3 white guys on there, yeah. And he says, "Devil Wears Prada." Wow. And I have to admit, curveball. And then he said it's his daughter's favorite movie, and one of his wife's favorite movies. So he's seen it. He probably can quote the whole thing, and he's seen it 1,000 times. And it has and he is right. It has great costume changes, good music, great performance from Stanley Tucci, great performance from Meryl Streep. Would I say number 1?
I've never seen it, so I couldn't say number
good.
anything.
I've
never seen it.
I don't know if it's something I would say Mike, you got to see this movie. But I did appreciate him kind of
Stepping outside himself.
stepping outside his box. Sure. And then let's see. So I got you to say The Accolade. That's good. And I think those are really impressive publications. Ringers for real. Like, it's good people. Like, it's serious criticism there. I like them a lot. But not someplace I would look for hip hop coverage, which I think is what you're saying about Pace too. So
yes.
You're really breaking in to the like beyond hip hop heads. You're already well known.
You know, yeah, I am. That's true. That's true. Between making the hip hop and talking about it, they all know about me.
Yeah. Well, the people who need to know. All right. So we're wrapping up. You have an album. You are touring.
Oh gosh. Mm-hmm.
And it's called Neighborhood Gods Unlimited. I'll never forget Unlimited.
All 3 words. Look at you. 3 for 3.
And you're going to be in Canada.
That's true. A couple weeks from now.
February?
No, Canada's this month.
Oh, wow.
Canada is in January. Canada, Winnipeg, Saskatoon, and Edmonton. Deep into the cold territory. It's like the 23rd, 24th, and 25th.
And I can't mock you anymore because since I'm going to Minneapolis.
You're coming north too. I'm just going a little further north.
And it's a good thing. I think I joked one time I was going to let you borrow my Canada Goose parka, but no more. I have to bring the Canada.
Now you're going to need it.
I'm going to need it.
Now you're going to need it. Yeah. I think I'm going to bring my long coat and not my fat coat. I think it's what I'm going to do. My long coat and do lots of layers under my long coat.
That sounds like a good strategy to me. Yeah. One of the most effective things you can do. You probably can't get one of those down skirts.
Big wide silhouette.
But for ladies,
oh God, that sounds fun.
Well, you could. I would say, like, Alexander Skarsgård wears skirts on the red carpet all the time. I think it would be cool.
I'm very skirt curious.
Well, and also the down skirts, it looks so
freeing.
You're supposed to wear them over pants. Actually, they basically,
I see,
do the work of the long coat. That most people just wear a coat that covers their hips, including women. So you very rarely see people with a full long coat because it doesn't make sense all the time. But
right.
When it's really, really cold. Now that I mention it, maybe I should get one for my trip. I got a few days. You already did promoting.
I can't wait to read what you write about them.
And you already did the promotions for me, even without thinking about it. You're so good at it now.
But your Patreon, your Patreon. We shouted out your YouTube. We got to shout out your Patreon because that's where, you're no longer newslettering,
right?
All of your workshops are over on the Patreon now, and there's all these exciting tiers where people can receive, one-on-one attention from
one-on-one editing
for their writing.
Yep.
Yeah.
One-on-one editing, $150 for an hour, plus access to morning writing groups.
Take advantage of that.
So and it is also Anna Marie Cox Dose
2.
Anna Marie Cox 2. I don't mind the 2 also because my very first email address, well, not very, very first. Yeah, no, very first email address was acox2@uchicago.edu.
So that 2's been with you a long time.
Yeah, I like to think of it as a sign of reinvention. So
my first email address was openmic20@hotmail.
So you've been open mic for a long time. See, this is like this is our digital archaeology here. All right, Mike. I think we should wrap it up.
But people should also go to patreon.com/pastdue.
Oh, that too. Support the podcast. Support this. We always, I think both of us sometimes think of this as the hobby podcast, and it's not.
No, this is a real dedication we got here. We show up. We show up and do the hard work, and we hope people enjoy it, and we hope it inspires folks, and we hope sharing these stories helps motivate people to push through all this nonsense that's happening all the time. And if you have it in you to support us and our work, please do. Patreon.com/pastdue.
Yeah. I meant hobby podcast. It's like, I sometimes forget that this is a potential income stream because I just like hanging out with you. I know, true.
Yeah, that's true. And I try not to put that much pressure on it, but I do enjoy it so much that I don't think of it as work.
Yeah. All right. Yes, and we will talk next week. The creative economy is broken, but some people are making it work.
And we're here to find out how.
This is past due.
I'm Open Mike Eagle. Yeah, all of that is true.
Past Due is hosted by Anna Marie Cox and Open Mike Eagle. It's produced by Andrew Steven. You can find more at pastduepodcast.com. Help support the show by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/pastdue. You'll get bonus content, extended interviews, and more. As always, if you like what we're doing, another way to help is by subscribing, sharing the show, and leaving us a review. Thanks for listening.
Not all darkness is dangerous. Sometimes it's the doorway to becoming whole. On the brand new podcast, The Shadow Sessions, hosted by me, Hibab Al-Faqih, a psychologist and trauma expert, we shed light on the hidden corners of the human experience. Through raw, unfiltered conversations from the edge of healing, The Shadow Sessions invites you to do the deeper work that leads to real change. Follow The Shadow Sessions wherever you're listening now.
Sometimes it feels like red and blue states are just as divergent as post-World War II East and West Germany. So what can the US learn from German political history in order to create a more perfect union? Find out on the new season of The Future of Our Former Democracy, the Signal Award-winning podcast for more equitable democracy and large media. Hosted by me, Colin Cole, and Heather Villanueva. It's time to rethink democracy. So follow The Future of Our Former Democracy wherever you get your podcasts.